Hey everyone, and welcome back to Senior Care Insights. We're all about exploring the best ways to support our aging loved ones, and I think today's topic is one that's on a lot of people's minds.
Oh, absolutely. When it comes time to figure out care options for parents or relatives, the default thought for so many people is nursing home, right?
Right. It's like that's just the automatic assumption. But we want to kind of shake things up a bit today. We've both spent years working in this field, health and psychology for seniors. And what we've learned is that there are actually some really powerful alternatives to nursing homes out there.
Yeah, for sure. Alternatives that really put the focus on things like independence and giving each person the care they need as an individual.
Exactly. So today we're going to take a deep dive into those alternatives. We'll break down how they work, what makes them so great, and of course the practical stuff that families need to think about.
Think of it like expanding your toolkit,
Mhm.
right? You've got a wider range of options. You can make decisions that really, truly fit your loved one's unique situation.
I love that analogy. So before we jump into the different options, let's talk about why this whole conversation is even necessary. What are we seeing in traditional nursing homes that's pushing people to look for other solutions?
Well, the initial perception is that nursing homes offer the most comprehensive care. Especially when medical needs are complex, people think round-the-clock attention. Medical professionals, it feels like the safest choice.
Yeah, I get that. It's that sense of security, right? Having medical support readily available. So what is it that starts to change people's minds?
Honestly, the cost. Nursing home care is expensive, like really expensive. And that's a huge factor for so many families. But it's not just the money. There's also this impact on the resident's sense of autonomy, you know?
What do you mean?
Well, in that structured environment with all those routines, people can start to feel like they've lost their independence. And it can feel impersonal sometimes. So that's where families start to wonder, are there ways to get care that's more personalized, more freeing?
It's that desire for greater freedom, personalized care, and lower costs. That's what drives people to explore these alternatives. It's just human nature to want the very best for our loved ones as they age.
Absolutely. And luckily, there's some really incredible options out there. Let's start with in-home care.
Okay, in-home care. Pretty self-explanatory, right? We're bringing the care right to the senior's house. What are the key things people need to know about this option?
Well, the whole idea is to let seniors age comfortably in their own homes. It's perfect for people who really value their independence and love their familiar surroundings, but they maybe need help with some daily tasks.
Give me some examples of those tasks.
Sure. It could be things like cooking, bathing,
Yeah.
remembering to take medication, or even just getting around town transportation. Those everyday things that might become more challenging as we age.
So it's about providing support without uprooting their whole life. I can see the appeal in that. What are some of the biggest advantages of staying in their own home?
Well, for one, they get to keep their routines. And that consistency can be so important for their well-being, especially if they're dealing with cognitive changes like memory loss. Plus, they get to stay connected to their community, their neighbors, friends, that whole social network.
That makes a lot of sense. And the level of care isn't set in stone, right? It can be adapted to what they need.
Exactly. That's a big plus. It could be a few hours a week or full-time 20/47 care. It all depends on the individual. Families can hire caregivers directly or go through agencies that do all that matching and vetting for you.
Speaking of practicalities, how does the cost of in-home care compare to a nursing home?
Well, on average, you're looking at about $4,500 a month for in-home care. And here's the kicker that's often less than half of what you'd pay for a nursing home. Of course, the final cost depends on how much care is needed, but it can be way more budget-friendly, especially if family can help out some too.
Yeah, that's a significant difference in cost. And it's not just the dollar amount, it's the kind of care they receive too, right?
Right. In-home care is all about personalized attention. It's that one-on-one support tailored to their preferences, their schedule, their needs. You just can't get that same level of individual focus in a larger facility. And that personalized approach can lead to better health, less loneliness, and just overall a greater sense of dignity.
It sounds like a win-win, but are there any potential downsides, things families need to be aware of?
Of course, if someone needs round-the-clock care, those costs can add up fast. And it's a lot of responsibility on the family, coordinating schedules, managing caregivers, making sure the care is top-notch. That can be a lot, especially for families who live far away or have busy lives.
That's a good point about the family's role. It's not a hands-off approach.
Definitely not. But with good planning and open communication, and maybe even some help from respite care, it can work really well. And families often say they love being so involved in their loved one's care plan.
And what about the seniors themselves? What do they say about receiving care in their own homes?
We hear a lot of, I wish I had done this sooner. They love the independence, the comfort of being in their own space and staying connected to their community. Those simple things like having a cup of tea in their garden or being with their pets, it makes such a difference. Aging in place can really boost their emotional well-being.
It's about preserving not just their physical comfort, but their sense of self, their
Oh,
identity.
sure.
It's beautiful. Okay, so we've covered in-home care. What's next on our list of alternatives?
Let's talk about assisted living.
Assisted living, how is that different from in-home care?
So assisted living gives seniors the independence of their own apartment, but within a community that's designed to be supportive and welcoming. It's not like a sterile hospital setting. They really try to make it feel like home.
So they have their own space, but there are also communal areas and services available?
Exactly. They usually have their own apartment with a private bathroom, maybe a kitchenette, and space to personalize. But the staff takes care of a lot of those daily tasks that can get tough, like cooking, cleaning, laundry, and medications.
That sounds like a nice balance. What about the social side of things?
Oh, they really emphasize that. There are often group activities, communal dining areas, recreational programs, even outings. It helps combat that loneliness and isolation that can be such a problem for seniors living alone.
So it's a mix of privacy and social connection. Cost-wise, how does it stack up against in-home care or nursing homes?
The average is around $4,500 a month, which is usually less expensive than a nursing home where you're getting full-time skilled nursing care. So it's a good middle ground financially.
And can the level of support change if the resident needs more help down the line?
Yeah, most assisted living places are pretty flexible with that. They can adjust the care plan as the residents' needs change over time.
Are there any downsides or times when assisted living wouldn't be the best fit?
Yeah, it might not be the best choice for someone with really serious health problems that need 24/7 medical attention. That level of care might be beyond what they can offer. And while the base cost is around that $4,500 mark, any extra services can push that price up.
That makes sense. It sounds like a great option for someone who needs some help with daily life, wants that social connection, but is still pretty healthy overall. What kind of feedback do you hear from families and seniors who've chosen assisted living?
Honestly, a lot of relief and satisfaction. The seniors love the company, not having to worry about chores, and knowing help is right there if they need it. And families feel good knowing their loved one isn't alone and is living in a safe, supportive community.
It's nice to hear those positive experiences. Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk about an alternative that's closer to home,
Yeah.
moving in with family. This is something that's been common for generations.
It really is. It highlights that personal touch, the emotional connection, and that timeless tradition of taking care of our own.
What are the main benefits for the senior who moves in with family?
Well, the care they get is super personal. It comes from a place of love and understanding. Families can tailor the care to the senior's needs and preferences in a way that no institution can. Plus, it combats loneliness. They're part of the family's daily life, sharing meals, conversations, all that good stuff.
And it's not just a one-way street, right? The family benefits too.
Exactly. It's a chance for younger generations to learn from their elders, hear their stories, and just build those strong family bonds. Practically speaking, it can also be more affordable than formal care, especially if the family can handle most of the caregiving themselves.
So it's about closeness and potentially saving money. But are there any challenges families should think about before going this route?
Oh, for sure. It takes planning and realistic expectations from everyone involved. Caregiving can be demanding. It can lead to burnout if things get overwhelming. So, open communication, clear roles and boundaries, all that's crucial for making it work long term. You might also need to make some changes to the home to make it safer and more accessible.
Yeah, that burnout is real. Families need to make sure they have support systems in place.
100%. Some families split duties between siblings, hire part-time help, or use adult daycare so the main caregiver gets a break. It's challenging, but the rewards can be huge. You see families grow closer, and everyone's quality of life can improve.
It sounds like it can be really enriching if it's handled thoughtfully. All right, let's move on to an alternative that I find really interesting, senior co-housing. This is a newer concept, right?
It is. It's a way for seniors to keep their independence but live in a supportive community that they create together. Imagine individual homes or apartments, but with shared spaces and lots of collaboration.
So it's intentional community living for seniors.
Exactly. It's all about resident autonomy and participation. They have their own private space, but they're part of this close-knit group. They can lean on each other for companionship, practical help, and emotional support. It's amazing for combating loneliness.
How does it work when someone needs health care or more help with daily tasks?
A lot of these communities pool their resources. They might hire caregivers or home health aides together so everyone can access the care they need without having to move into a more institutional setting.
That's clever. And financially speaking, how does it compare to the other options?
It can be much cheaper than nursing homes or assisted living because they share the costs of housing, utilities, services, everything. That can be a huge relief, especially for seniors on a fixed income.
And that strong social fabric is a major draw, right?
Absolutely. They organize all sorts of social events and activities to keep everyone engaged and connected. It's all about fostering those relationships and preventing isolation.
This sounds ideal for someone who thrives in a community setting. Is there a certain type of person who would be a good fit for co-housing?
It definitely works best for people who are relatively healthy and active, value community, and are okay with sharing responsibilities and making decisions together. Finding the right group can take time, and you have to be willing to put yourself out there and be part of the community.
What kind of feedback have you heard from people living in these communities?
They love it. They say the rewards are well worth the effort. They feel supported. They've made real friends. And loneliness is a thing of the past. It's all about mutual care, having a purpose, and feeling like you're part of something bigger.
It sounds like a really empowering model. Okay, let's talk about another alternative that offers a different kind of support. Adult daycare.
This is a great option for both seniors and their families because it bridges the gap between full independence and needing full-time care. It's all about getting daytime support and engagement while still being able to go home every night.
So it's like a structured program during the day.
Yeah, exactly. Seniors go to these centers during the day, participate in activities, have meals, maybe do some exercise, and socialize with others. Then they go back home in the evening.
What are the benefits for both the senior and their family?
For seniors, it helps them stay active, engaged, and connected. It prevents isolation and keeps them physically and mentally stimulated. And for families, it gives them a break from caregiving, which is so crucial for preventing burnout.
What kind of stuff do they do at these centers?
Oh, all sorts of things. There are therapeutic programs, games, exercise classes, arts and crafts, music therapy, and just time to hang out and chat. It's all about keeping them happy and healthy.
So it's a social outlet and a way to stay active during the day. Financially, where does adult daycare fall in comparison to the other options?
It's generally cheaper than nursing homes and assisted living. You're looking at around $1,500 to $2,500 a month, which makes it a really affordable option for a lot of families.
Is there anyone for whom adult daycare might not be a good fit?
It's not ideal for people with very serious health issues that need constant care, or if they need a lot of care overnight, but it can be a great part of a larger care plan. Some families combine it with in-home care to provide more comprehensive support.
It sounds like a really flexible option. What kind of feedback do you hear about adult daycare?
We hear a lot of good things. Seniors love the social interaction, the activities, and the support they receive, and they're happy to go home at night. And families feel a huge sense of relief knowing their loved one is safe, well cared for, and enjoying themselves during the day.
It sounds like a win-win situation for everyone involved. Now, the last alternative we wanted to talk about focuses on a different stage of life: hospice and palliative care.
Right. When someone is facing a serious illness, hospice and palliative care offer a really compassionate and specialized approach. It's all about maximizing comfort, dignity, and quality of life during a challenging time.
So the focus shifts from curing the illness to managing symptoms and providing comfort.
Exactly. It's about making sure the person's remaining time is spent with as little suffering as possible. Hospice focuses on end-of-life care, while palliative care can start earlier, even while the person is still receiving treatment.
And where do these services usually take place?
It really depends on the person's needs and preferences. It can be at home, in a dedicated hospice facility, or even in a hospital.
What makes hospice and palliative care so unique and beneficial?
It's the holistic approach. You have a whole team of professionals, doctors, nurses, social workers, therapists, spiritual counselors, all working together to create a personalized care plan. It's not just about physical pain. It's about emotional, psychological, and spiritual well-being for both the patient and their family.
It sounds like a really supportive environment during a very difficult time. What about the financial side of things?
The good news is that hospice care is usually covered by Medicare, Medicaid, and most private insurance plans. So that takes a lot of the financial burden off families. Palliative care coverage varies a bit depending on the insurance.
It's good to know that finances aren't a major obstacle during such a sensitive time. Are there any common misconceptions about hospice care that you want to address?
Unfortunately, a lot of people think hospice means giving up hope, so they wait too long to consider it. But actually, starting hospice earlier can really improve quality of life. The specialized care and symptom management can make a huge difference, and it allows families to focus on cherishing the time they have left together.
It's about shifting the focus to making the most of the time that remains.
Exactly. People who receive hospice care often say they feel more respected, more in control, and more at peace.
It's a truly invaluable option. Well, as we wrap up our conversation today, it's clear that nursing homes aren't the only option for senior care. There's a whole world of alternatives out there.
Absolutely. We've talked about in-home care, assisted living, moving in with family, senior co-housing, adult daycare, and hospice and palliative care. Each option has its pros and cons, and the best choice really depends on the individual's needs, preferences, and resources.
The takeaway is that families need to do their research and explore all the options before making any decisions about senior care.
We hope this deep dive has given everyone some new insights and maybe sparked some ideas. It's all about moving beyond that one-size-fits-all approach and finding what truly works best for each senior and their family.
If you found this helpful, please give us a like and share it with others who might benefit. And don't forget to leave a comment. We love hearing your thoughts and questions.
And if you want to stay up to date on all things senior care, make sure you subscribe to Senior Care Insights and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future discussions.
Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time.